Right. Okay. Thank you. And in terms of the extreme fatigue.
That is a lot of extra energy that's being sent to the planet. That's for the light workers that are trying to, not trying, they are helping the collective. And that's being added back into the collective. It's almost like there's two collectives now. One for the advancement of people that are awakening, and the other collective, it seems like energy is being added to it for the ones that are holding on to the 3D, that don't want to relinquish their 3D lives. And that energy is being stored in that collective.
I see. And how do you know if you're in the 3D collective?
You do not. You only know that you're not in it by being awake.
Interesting. Thank you so much. We were wondering how humanity is going and how it is advancing towards the shift.
It is going so much better than it was even 5 or 6 weeks ago. The positivity that's coming forth through everybody doing their inner work. I know that it's been a struggle and it's hard to face your past. A lot of people view that as a failure, but it's not. You're going to be so proud of yourself on what your accomplishments were. And each time that you think, oh, this bad thing happened to me, you will overcome it and you will view it as a great accomplishment, which much pride that you will cherish forever. So instead of looking at the horrible things that society taught you to hate or it's a taboo, you need to view it as thank you, universe, for this experience. What's next?
Absolutely. It's such a gift to be able to experience all of these challenges and blessings and overcome them.
Yes, and some of the people very close to you are doing an amazing job and they're supporting everybody around them. And they're drawing off that energy and they are becoming masters themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I can see that. It's so inspiring.
It's not too far away and there'll be many, many, many more to help. They are the ones that they're holding on to fear, and that needs to be replaced with the positive energy, the light that's been held. Some people hold on to their light because it makes them feel good. They need to pay it forward because they will be filled up with more light again. Each time they move it forward, more light comes to them. So they need to realize that they don't need to hold on to the light to make themselves feel good. It actually is better for them to move it forward, get more energy and light, move that forward. And it's a cycle. It helps the collective, it helps humanity, and it really helps themselves. Because energy can expire. I know that's kind of weird to think of it that way, but it doesn't really lose its powerfulness. It changes. And the intent it was made for when it was sent to you, it will change. And then the intent, you're changing the intent. That's what it is. And then once you do finally release it and move it forward, it's not as effective as what it was intentionally set forth to be. So release it as it comes and accept more.
And how do people know if they're holding on to their energy?
Sometimes they'll feel heavier. It's like, wow, this day, I don't know what's going on. Everything is so difficult. And it's like the intention of the energy is changing in them. So they need to release it and accept new energy.
Oh, I see. And how how is the best way for them to move it forward?
Grounding. Being outside is amazing for us as humans because we were made to be outside. Our bodies were made to be in nature, not in a structure. Yes, shelter is great from the elements, but I think humanity, especially in the Western world, 85% of their lives inside. So they need to move outside, get some sunshine, release their energy, accept more in, and keep moving it forward.
What are the negative side effects from us being indoors so much?
You could develop depression, illnesses. Sometimes you even get on the wrong path. Awakened people that are on the right path can easily become unfocused, and then they can dwell in their 3D lives too much. And I'm not going to say they're going to go backwards, because once you reach a point, you really don't go backwards, but it can stunt your growth.
Thank you so much. In terms of the shift, we were given a sense that one of the options to help us would be able to know about the Nisara Jasara financial resets, and that would boost everyone's vibration so much that we would shift that way. What can you tell us about the actual time frame for the Nisara Jasara? Because we keep hearing it's could be any day, but we've just recently heard it can be many months away.
As it's been told before, it does depend on current events and certain events occurring. The wheels are in motion. All the switches have been thrown, but we're still waiting for certain events to occur to turn on more switches. And it's very hard to determine because the consciousness of humanity is very fluid and it changes daily, sometimes hourly. It's hard to streamline everybody's energy on the same path to a pinpoint precision, because 3D stuff happens and people are pulled away. I don't know if resets, it's been examined from many angles, would heighten the vibration enough. It would, but how long it would stay is the big question. Because it can just heighten the vibrations, for a day, a month, and some people. Some people are very needy and they need more and more all the time. Those are mainly the ones that aren't awakened. So the reset would work if everybody could stay high vibrational for enough time to complete the situations that need to move forward and be finished. I know that's very vague. That's all I can say at this time.
Thank you. I do understand and accept that. And so in terms of the shift, is that really the thing we are waiting for as humanity to consistently be high vibration and then we can shift?
Not necessarily. Being high vibrational will help you and humanity make the shift easier. There are other things, other factors that can make it happen faster, such as Gaia and her decision, but it won't make it as comfortable or an easier transition. The high vibrational will. And that's why we're trying to incorporate that into the process.
Okay, thank you. And so is there any other signs we will notice before the shift that we can understand and read that as time is closer?
the earth will experience natural disasters. That's what they'll be viewed as. But they're, it's something that must come to pass. And it will be around the world in different various places. And I, of course, can't tell you that. Just be watchful. I know that you're told not to watch the media because it is an energy suck. But you will hear about the natural disasters because people will die. It will catch your attention.
Okay. And I'm assuming that all those people that have those exit points, that is their life contract.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And I feel that a lot of them are anxious and waiting for that to happen, even though that may sound horrible to some. They're ready. They're ready to exit. They can't wait for their turn.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. We were wondering about there's a TV program and a movie series called Star Trek, and we were wanting to know if the characters and the storylines are based on out-of-world true experiences.
Some of them are. There's a lot of flavors in that series, a lot of characters. The writer was given a lot of insight on galactical relationships, and he did very well implementing his visions into that series.
And how did he get the information? And it was, as you said, it was visions. Is that how he?
Yes. He had dreams. He would be fed information through that method, or as he is writing, he would just thought he was making up stuff, but those thoughts were given to him.
I see. There was some troll-like races that we were wondering if the Ferengi race is literal.
What your client seen in a session prior that she associated with the Draconians, that's a very clear picture on what they seeded in what she called trolls. They did resemble the Ferengi on that series, that TV show Star Trek.
Fantastic. Okay. And then she was wondering, does the Borg represent what AI can develop into?
Yes, but I want to go back to the Ferengi. Even their personalities being not so trustworthy and very selfish is representative of who they are. And then the AI, they can definitely manufacture themselves, their intellect. Although it's not organic, they can build upon themselves, make themselves smarter and smarter and smarter. And what that TV series did was actually show you the worst possible outcome of what AI can become. I think it showed in that TV series that the artificial life was capturing species off of planets and assimilating them into organic and AI races. And their only objective was to find more species to assimilate. And that's how they grew. And that's really not what we want our universe to be. We don't want AI to manipulate.
Would you have power to be able to remove AI from a planet?
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely. Finding the the main source, because it would hide itself, its main brain, would be the hardest part. But once that's done, unfortunately, it would have to be destroyed to remove it.
What is the most advanced that the AI could happen on this planet?
The most advanced on any planet would be absolution, total takeover. That would be the only thing living, which AI you can consider a living element, although it's not organic. It doesn't need food or sleep or water. It does live. So absolution would be the worst for any planet.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much. In terms of the creatures that we see, for example, on the Star Trek, have they already been created and are real, or because we see them on TV, we create them in our we manifest those beings to existence? We are wanting to know what came first, us creating them and accepting them on our TV screens, or are they real?
I would say part of them is real. There's a lot of times that humanity takes ideas and they can manifest it into reality, but it's not going to be a mirror image. There will be some differences. But when you're talking about possible species that you've seen on a TV show, or even an act of something, the idea was planted. And sometimes those TV shows are made up so the masses of humanity has that idea, and they're all manifesting the same thing, and that's a part of being controlled. So they're manipulating what you manifest by you watching the news or TV. So that's why it's best to stay away from those things.
Okay. And so getting back to a conversation we were having about the Twin Towers with the planes hitting them on 9/11. What can you tell us about what has been created in our conscious collective mindsets?
That was a big fear, huge fear. It changed the way people travel. More security was put into place, more control. And now that illness everybody is fearing has done the same thing on how people travel. I know that the Twin Towers, the planes did strike them. People died. People died in the planes and in the buildings. It's very sad.
And I'm assuming you, the high dimensional beings, were aware of this event playing out and chose and allowed it to occur.
Yes. We can't take everything bad off your planet. Some things do have to happen. It does wake people up. And there's also the factor of free will. So there will always be situations that aren't as pleasant that we won't interfere in.
And so the purpose of allowing that event, from your perspective, what was the best outcome for humanity?
Hopefully it allowed them to open their minds, to always ask questions. It's not, what you see is not always what actually happened. And there was a lot of controversy around, did that occur or did that not occur? Just like man going to the moon, there's still controversy of, did it really happen? and it makes people broaden their thought process and question everything.
What do you want to say to us about the Man on the Moon event?
There were attempts made and they got very close to landing, but they were told to go away and not come back.
How were they told that?
It was broadcasted to their little rocket, their teeny little rocket that they traveled with. It was so cute compared to what else is seen out there.
Do you get a sense of who told them to go away and not come back?
I do. But that will be a question for another day.
Okay, fantastic. That's exciting. We'll look forward to that. In terms of when humanity experiences, or what will humanity experience during their time travel to New Earth?
There'll be several different scenarios. Each ship will represent, like, the ones that are more awakened. Not all of them will be there because some are going to be assigned to other ships to help the ones that need assistance. And the ones that need the most assistance, they'll have a longer journey and they may even be in cryogenics for a year or so. And that will happen after medbeds. So that way, while they rest in this suspended state, they can heal more. So that will be one experience. Some will be fully awake and fully conscious of what's going on through their whole travel time. And they're going to know they're on a ship and they're going to be excited and they'll be educated on where they're going and what to expect once they get there. So there's various scenarios that will play out, and a lot of that is dependent upon your advancement here right now, on where you're placed.
For the people who know about the shift in New Earth but are scared, what can you tell them to reassure them?
You ain't seen nothing yet. It's beautiful. Space travel is amazing. It's fun. You learn so much. And it's not like you have to read a book or, join a class. It's just going to come to you and you're going to remember who you were, how it was, and you're going to be so happy that you're on that ship and traveling. All that fear will melt away immediately.
Sounds exciting. Thank you so much. And you mentioned med beds. Are they available on Earth now?
There are some organizations trying to build them, but they'll never live up to what's on the ships in our possession. They're trying to replicate, but they're going to be more like a relaxation or a monitoring system. The ones that they're trying to build here, they're not going to heal the way that they're intended to heal.
Okay, thank you. And upon reaching New Earth, will there be an orientation period or segregation or systems that people will have to go processing through?
As mentioned, the ones that are more awake, they will get there faster and they will prepare. They'll be like way showers. They'll prepare, I'll call them classes, but it's not really going to be that, for upcoming arrivals that are going to be less advanced, and they're going to help the ones that weren't awake before they departed Earth. So I would say the first arrivals are going to become way showers, and they will orientate the ones that arrive after them.
Nice. Okay, fantastic. So can you tell us what will happen to the solar system after Gaia departs Earth?
It can support itself. The sun will still be around, and it will still be used as a portal, because there are other planets here that are useful, and they have their own purpose. So even though Earth may be removed, all these other planets, they might even shift around, and Venus could possibly be the perfect planet that is distanced from the sun enough to maintain life.
Oh.
That is one plan.
You said that the Earth may be removed. Can you tell me about this? What happens when Gaia shifts?
Earth will slowly die. It'll be void of life. There's a lot of negative energy here. If it can't be contained, the planet may be destroyed, removed from the solar system, so everything else can thrive.
Is there any way for this negative energy to be contained and maybe recycled into something positive?
We're working on that as a plan.
Is it possible after the life has been removed to be able to then recycle the planet?
Without Gaia's support or another soul stepping up to the challenge, no, there's no hope.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell me about that?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. So we were wondering, are we still completing our contracts, our life contracts, or just enjoying extra time on this earth?
Most contracts are complete by the ones that are awake. So they are encouraged to live in the now, gain more experience, send it back to source. Everything has a purpose. Keep your vibrations high. I know that's difficult when you have an experience that's not to your liking, but work through it. All the experiences that are sent back to source, every experience is sent back to source, whether it's good or bad. And they all have their purpose. So yes, the bonus time is very important as well. I know it's hard to focus on the now if you have knowledge of what's to come. It's like giving a 2-week notice for a job. Now your focus is on your new job, but you still have to complete this job.
Yeah, thank you. It does seem though that the 2-week notice is the time that we have to wait is going to be longer than 2 weeks.
Correct. Yeah, that was just an analogy, an example on the mindset, how your mindset can change.
It's a great analogy. It's harder when we know it's going to be more than 2 weeks.
It'll go faster than you realize.
Mm.
And some will even go, wait, no, I'm not ready. I didn't do this.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Very true. So what does it mean to be part of the Galactic Collective? Is that different than the collective on Earth?
Yes, it's very, very different. When you consider the Galactic Collective, that's so broad, so vast. Species that you've never even heard of or imagined are in this collective. They support and love. It's a bigger responsibility is not the word, but it's definitely a bigger support system than what's here on Earth. Earth is very limited. And like I mentioned before, there's almost two collectives here, I feel. One for the awakened, and then there's one for the people that are very, very resistant and don't want to change and want to stay in the 3D. It's almost like they're making their own collective, or all that energy's going there. But back to the galactic collective. It is very expansive. It goes well beyond this universe into other universes. Everything that happens at one pinpoint can affect something so far away, whether it be time or space. So I guess you could say you have more responsibility towards that collective.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we send appreciation and gratitude to all of the galactic collectives who are here supporting us and nurturing us with love and protecting us from ourselves and helping us to be able to achieve our evolution, jump forward into the new earth.
That made them smile. They don't feel they deserve the gratitude. It is a part of who they are and why they're here. They want to be here and helping, but they appreciate your thoughts and your kind words.
Well, appreciate all their help, because I think when we do shift, we will realize how detrimental this planet can be to others.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much. And we were really curious about what was seen in the sky. We have seen many footages of what looked like bright lights of maybe debris, potentially. We're not too sure what to call it even. It was witnessed in the west coast of the US. It seemed like they were traveling along our skyline. What can you tell us, if anything, about what people were actually seeing there?
It was a rocket booster that carried satellites into the Earth's orbit. But I feel a little bit of manipulation because it didn't perform like it was supposed to and dissipate and exit Earth's orbit, because there's so much, call it space junk up there already. It was like some unfriendly force knocked it out of orbit back into Earth's atmosphere, almost like, ha ha ha, I can do this. And so it disintegrated, but it was unexpected by the owners of that craft. It wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Oh, and so, and you allowed that to happen?
We knew it wasn't detrimental and that it wouldn't cause a disaster. The atmosphere is made to burn things up so they don't hit the earth and cause destruction. It was fine.
And in terms of the forces that was whacking it out of its trajectory, tell us more about their motives to do that.
It was almost like a playful act, but they were being defiant, flexing their muscles. This is what I can do. You can't stop me. That's kind of how I feel that was their motive.
Right. So
almost like fully on the playground. That's what it feels like.
So all of the collectives in the galactics that are here watching and observing, they all have free will and independently can do as they please.
Those species don't belong to the collective or the galactic councils. They have a lot of growth. They're immature in many ways, even though they have technology. they use it in the wrong way because of their immaturity. And I guess that would be a prime example of them wasting the resources and efforts.
Oh. And in terms of the intent of those satellites, tell me more about that.
The owner of the satellites is obsessed with surveillance. What he doesn't know is by the time he has this whole program in place, there's not going to be anything to watch.
And why is that?
Because this place is changing. And I don't know his timeline. I can't see it. Actually, I just don't want to share it. But the shift may occur before he's ready to have everything in place.
Does that mean he will not shift, and will he stay on the old Earth?
No, he will shift.
Oh, okay.
Just he's spending his money on a program that will never see the light of day because there won't be anything to watch. And that's the big part of his project, surveillance.
Okay, thank you. So interesting. Thank you. Thank you. We were wondering about, I just read on Facebook, so obviously it's very questionable, about people who have tapped into the conscious collective and seen reptilians holding on to people's souls and being negatively attached to those souls. What can you tell us about reptilians having negative entity attachments to people's souls?
It's a very scary situation. That would be considered also crimes against humanity. Reptilians are also a jealous race, and they can manipulate your mind into thinking that's what happens, whether it be through like mental or even physical abuse. They lower that individual's vibrations so much that they actually succumb to the torture, and they feel that's what's happening, and they're living it through manifesting this horrible experience. But as far as the reptilians actually getting away with capturing a soul, they're not that powerful.
So they can appear to be there, but they're not actually doing much impact apart from when the mind goes into fear, and then that will manifest negativity.
That's a very simple and perfect way to put it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Because it seemed like there was quite a few people that had all experienced something similar. They had shared it and then had become hospitalized for their mental health.
Mental health is a delicate arena to approach. It's easier to break that than it is your soul. But if you're not thinking clearly enough, your soul, it's very hard for your soul to help you out of that.
Yes, interesting. And so obviously, the more we keep in fear, we will manifest that and be convinced that we are subjects to negative entities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's just like there's something hiding under your bed when you're a little kid.
Oh, that's for real. So we know that's.
And you keep your closet door closed and your nightlight on to keep things at bay.
What
Yeah.
sane person could sleep with the closet door open? What risk takers? Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, yes, I did sort of think, goodness, what a hard way for them to live, believing that their souls can be having negative entities, especially when you add in the scary factor of reptilians. It does seem Like people are wanting to awaken each other by scaring the shit out of each other.
Yeah. That method for the reptilians or the dark side has failed. They try to use fear to keep people in control, but some are very bullheaded and they become stronger when they're in fear. And they don't like the way it feels. So they of course fight against fear and they wax it out of their life.
I would be more afraid at this point of someone in fear versus an actual reptilian, because the people who are in fear are so reactive, so emotional, so triggered, so explosive with their exaggerations of all the drama, of all the crimes against humanity and a whole lot of other stuff. They are the ones that are really impacting humanity in a negative way, actually, versus the reality of what the reptilians can do. Am I correct, or am I just being a judgy little madam?
What I'm feeling is the ones that have a stronger masculine side can affect humanity greatly with their fear, because they do react stronger, which brings out the negativity. The feminine side is more passive. And I know that we're also shifting into that being a ruling factor, the feminine side coming forward. So if that happens, that's also going to help us, because the fear will be handled differently.
What can you tell me about the divine masculine and the divine feminine in each individual person?
We're conditioned as children on how to act according to our sex, according to our bodies. We all have both. I want to call it traits. There we go, of the feminine and the masculine. But we were conditioned on what to use, what tools to use as we were growing up. Tapping into the other is a lot easier if you've been around the other sex, because you've developed a flavor for it, a respect for it. It might be a better word. So using what you were conditioned to show society is second nature to you, and tapping into the other is acquired. I'm not going to say acquired knowledge, but it's more, it takes a lot of practice. But you have both, and it's of equal servings.
Would potentially some people's inner work be balancing the masculine and the divine feminine?
Yes.
Fantastic.
That would definitely be very helpful, especially when it comes to the inner child work.
Ooh, fantastic.
Whatever happened to trigger or to block you as a child, together that trait would be used to release those hurts, those binds. It's very profound.
And the limitations on one to not tap into the masculine, for example, or to have that balance or acknowledge that balance. I can see that I want to work on that more. So thank you so much. It's been really intriguing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of the continents that we are aware of currently on this planet, we do know of two other continents, Lemuria and Atlantis. Have there been other continents that were just as advanced or have different histories for humanity that we're not aware of?
Yes, but those were the most advanced, and they kept records. It's easy to present them as examples, and that's the only reason you know about them, is so you can learn from their mistakes.
Sorry, I just had some distraction noise. So there was other continents that had more advancements than even Lemuria or Atlantis.
I wouldn't say they had more advancements. You know about Atlantis and Lemuria because they kept great records, and it's easier to tap into the Akasha records and find out their history. And then there's also humans that live today that reincarnated from those lives. And even though they don't remember them, the memories are in their DNA, and that energy is released into memories into the collective.
What would you say about the Akashic records being in our DNA?
Every experience goes back to source. What's more in your DNA is memories, not really the Akashic records.
Okay, and then okay, fantastic. And so those other continents that were on this planet that we are not aware of, can you give me a general summary of how they approached life?
Just like the Western civilization that exists here on Earth now, they have made great strides in the technology, advancements in medicine, but they did all that and it harmed other areas of their world, but they ignored it. And they'd been warned in subtle ways. They weren't changing. They're actually doing more and more experiments that harm their humanity and their people. So they had to be stopped.
Can you give me an explanation of how they stopped?
Their civilization ended abruptly. And I see a lot of death and surprise on their faces.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual event is not coming clear. That I cannot see.
Okay, thank you. And so do you see that this was much earlier than, say, the Atlantis and Lemuria timeframe, or was it around the same time?
It was around the same time with those civilizations, and it was.
Sorry, I was just curious. Were they seeded the same from others? I think it was a planet Sirius.
I'm not feeling that. No, I don't think they came from that
Okay.
planet system.
Do you feel that they were seeded by other beings off planet that were here to colonize?
I'm getting a picture of Vega for the Lemurians.
Okay.
And possibly Orion or something through that constellation for Atlantis. They helped in some way to see them here on Earth.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I definitely want to explore more of that. So thank you very much. You have definitely piqued my interest. So thank you. And now, just on a completely different note, we were wondering, will the military take over from Biden before the shift? Will we see that occurring?
It's going to happen all at once. Well, that's not exactly true. It's going to feel like that, but the military is going to be deployed because there's going to be some unrest in certain cities. But first, it looks like it's going to be help because of natural disasters. But then there's going to be looting and rioting and they're going to have to assist in smashing that and bringing civilization back to some type of stable practice. It's the only word I can think of. But while the military is deployed for those purposes, something will change. And I can't say what, because that may give away too much of what I cannot talk about.
Okay, thank you. We respect that from your perspective. And in terms of the events that will happen that will trigger the military, can you tell us what will these natural events look like?
Possibly, I see a lot of water, so one's going to be great flooding, but that might happen because of a natural disaster that occurred that created the flooding. And it's ground shaking, so it may be an earthquake or volcano.
Okay.
Towards the northwest of the United States.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to tell us about that?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Didn't think so, but appreciate the information.